Did you know that the Kodama standing in the last scene will eventually turns to Totoro? Hi everyone. Today's video is about Princess Mononoke. I'll introduce the trivia of the film. The meaning of the name, Ashitaka and San. The protagonist, Ashitaka's name is Bright Tomorrow. Before the first arrival of the Chinese to Japan, Japan had no formal writing system. So Japanese adopted Chinese characters and molded them to their own language. This means that Japanese names are also made up of the some characters which known in Japanese as kanji, and each kanji carries a specific meaning. Every child's name in Japan and China is given with careful consideration, and it carries a specific meaning. In Princess Mononoke, protagonist's name is Ashitaka. While the kanji of his name is not officially confirmed, it is said that the kanji, tomorrow, and bright, are assigned. This is likely an intentional choice by Miyazaki to imply that Ashitaka is charged with leading the world to a brighter tomorrow. The name, San, means 3. You may have heard Japanese ichi, ni, san, which means 1, 2, 3 in English. Yes, the name San means 3. This is a literal name given to her by the wolf spirit Moro who raised her. San is Moro's third cub, and this is why the name was chosen. Although, of course, she is not actually Moro's cub, but rather was rescued and raised by her after San's parents gave her as a sacrifice for their protection. Totoro is Kodama's transformations. In the story, when God Shushu lost his head, he absorbed all of the living things inside the forest, causing a huge number of Kodamas to disappear. Eventually, all of the lives absorbed by Shushu returned because of San and Ashitaka's effort, and the devastated forest recovered and thrived by the end of the story. The ending of the movie saw a Kodama standing in the forest. That Kodama, in the future, will be Totoro from My Neighbor Totoro. Totoro is 1,302 years old. The assumption makes sense considering the setting of Princess Mononoke is Japanese medieval, which is around 500 to 700 years ago. We have some more evidences to support the Kodama equals Totoro theory, indeed. Among them, we have a piece of convincing hint from the remarks by director Hayao Miyazaki in an interview. He said, "Let's put the scene in which Kodama walking openly at the end. Just a tiny little Kodama would be good. That will be Totoro in future. Well, what about adding a pair of ears to him, haha? That would definitely be more consistent." Considering that his remark, Kodama's evolution to Totoro is very much solid. Lady Eboshi is San's mother. There is an interesting rumor saying that Lady Eboshi is San's mother. Indeed, when we compare the personalities of San and Lady Eboshi, we can witness several similarities. For example, San is very clear, self-disciplined, and determined about her own personal goal. And same can be said to Lady Eboshi for achieving her own goals. For a long time, the assumption about parent and child relation between Lady Eboshi and San had been considered just a rumor among Ghibli fans because there was no solid evidence to support the theory. But since a child book called Mononoke Princess, which actually is not so famous even among Japanese, was highlighted, the rumor turned to very convincing one. The picture book has a bit similar story structure with the film Princess Mononoke. In the book, there is a lord who wants to create his utopia. The lord struggles to create the utopia because of his insufficient power, and eventually he gives up his conscience to exchange for more powers. The lord has 3 princesses, Princess 1, Princess 2, and Princess 3. And the 3rd princess is sent to marry with the Mononoke as a sacrifice of Lord's sin. It's reasonable to believe that this lord is Lady Eboshi. And the Princess 3, San, would be San in the film, Princess Mononoke. The lord and the princess have a parent-child relation. Miyazaki remains silent on the relation between Lady Eboshi and San. However, he once left some words about San's background. Someone who offended the forest, abandoned the baby being afraid of mountain wolves. In the film, San's foster mother, Moro, is very much aggressive to Lady Eboshi for no reason, while the she is not so hostile to human. We can see Moro is only targeting Eboshi for the attack. It all makes sense if we interpret that Moro hates Eboshi because she is a greedy and selfish offender to the woods who even sacrificed her own daughter. The meaning of Mononoke. Actually, the word Mononoke has a long history to it, and it has evolved over time. The more recent understanding and usage of the term refers to an unknowable thing, a mysterious and enigmatic force, difficult to see or even understand, a sort of strange presence or spirit. This is the intention behind calling San as Mononoke in the film. She is a wolf child, thus in the eyes of the other humans in the story, she is something other than human. The title, Princess Mononoke, indicates to the audience that the protagonist is a princess of strange and enigmatic natural force. For Japanese, the title, Princess of Unknowable Thing, does sound mysterious and thrilling, and it successfully caught lots of attention from them. But unfortunately, this impact is lost in the translation, as many of non-Japanese are left wondering what the word means, and why San is never referred to as Mononoke. Behind story of the film title, Princess Mononoke. In fact, just before the completion of the movie, director Hayao Miyazaki was trying to change the title of the movie from Princess Mononoke to another title. The title was Ashitaka Seiki, meaning The Legend of Ashitaka. However, at that time, producer Toshio Suzuki liked the title, Princess Mononoke, very much. Ignored Miyazaki's opinion, Suzuki started public relations activities such as TV commercials as Princess Mononoke, and no choice was left not to use Princess Mononoke. The catchy title, at least for Japanese, Princess Mononoke, was born as such. The setting was inspired by Yakushima Island. Many of Miyazaki's films feature protagonists coming into contact with kami, Japanese gods and spirits of nature. The forest in Princess Mononoke is teeming with them throughout the course of the film. But the design of the forest itself is also based off a real-life location, the island of Yakushima located at the southernmost tip of Japan. Yakushima is World Heritage Site. The island is almost completely covered in thick, dense forest and filled with some rare animals. Looking at images of this island, it's easy to draw parallels to the forest in the film. Moro and Okkoto are ex-lovers. Moro is voiced by Japanese actor Akihiro Miwa. At the time when Akihiro Miwa was voicing Moro in the recording studio, Miyazaki told him Moro and Okkoto were very close, but they were separated 100 years ago. Miyazaki actually left such a comment. When I was working on the voice recording of Moro and Okkoto, I thought something didn't sound right. Then I came up with the idea that the two were once close to each other. After I told about their relation to Miwa, I found Moro's voice sounded very differently, sounded more feminine. That was interesting. If you just chased the story, you would not notice their relation. And it is interesting to carefully listen to their conversation in the film after coming to know they were in love with each other.